Good day, everyone. Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing radical expressions. After the discussion, the students will be able to perform multiplication and division on radical expression. So in multiplying radical expressions, we're just going to multiply the radicand. So let's try example number 1. The square root of 7 times the square root of 3. Di ba sabi natin, pag nag-multiply tayo ng radical expressions, we are going to multiply the radicands. And ang radicands natin for this example is 7 and 3. So we can rewrite this as the square root of 7 times 3. So 7 times 3 is equal to 21. Our final answer is square root of 21. Number 2, square root of 8 times square root of 2. So we can rewrite this as the square root of 8 times 2, and 8 times 2 is equal to 16, so the square root of 16 is equal to 4. Number 3, square root of 2a times square root of 18a. So, i-rewrite natin siya as the square root of 2a times 18a. So, 2 times 18 is equal to 36. Then, a times a is equal to a squared. And the square root of 36a squared is 6a. Ito yung final answer natin, 6a. Number 4, the square root of 3 times the quantity of square root of 6 minus 2 square root of 15. So, sa mga ganitong klase ng examples, ang gagamitin natin ay distributive property. Again, sa mga ganitong klase ng examples, gagamit tayo ng distributive property. Ibig sabihin, yung constant natin na square root of 3, imumultiply natin siya in each term. And sa example na to, we have 2 terms. And let's do it. The square root of 3 times the first term, which is the square root of 6, minus the square root of 3 times the second term, which is 2 square root of 15. So, i-multiply na natin. So, square root of 3 times the square root of 6 is equal to square root of 18 minus the square root of 3 times 2 square root of 15. So, square root of 3 times the square root of 15 is equal to 45. Kaya siya naging 2 square root of 45. So, this is not our final answer kasi pwede pa natin siyang i-simplify. So, first, i-get natin yung factors ng 18. So, the factors of 18 is 9 and 2. Then, kunin din natin yung factors ng 45. So, that would be 9 and 5. So, extract natin siya or simplify natin siya. So, bakit siya 3? Because the square root of 9 is 3, kaya natin siya ilalabas. Tapos, square root of 2, kasi hindi naman na natin pwedeng kunin yung square root of 2. Minus 2 times 3. Bakit siya merong times 3? Because the square root of 9 is 3, kaya natin siya ilalabas. Tapos, square root of 5, yung natira sa loob ng radical sign. So, i-multiply natin yung 2 times 3. Our final answer would be 3 square root of 2 minus 6 square root of 5. Number 5, square root of 2 times the quantity of 1 minus square root of 3. Again, sa mga ganitong example, we are going to use distributive property. I-distribute natin or i-multiply natin yung square root of 2 in each term. So, meron lang din ulit naman tayong 2 terms. So, let's try it. The square root of 2 times 1 is equal to square root of 2 minus the square root of 2 times the second term, which is the square root of 3. So, i-simplify natin siya. Square root of 2 minus square root of 6. Bakit siya square root of 6? Because the square root of 2 times square root of 3 is equal to square root of 6. So, this is our final answer kasi hindi na natin siya maisi-simplify. Let's proceed in dividing radical expressions. So, itry natin muna yung example number 1, which is the square root of 35 over square root of 7. So, we can rewrite this as a single radical expression like this. So, the square root of 35 over 7. So, kapag ganito na siya, isimplify mo na yung radical. So, 35 over 7 is equal to 5. Kaya ang final answer natin is square root of 5. Number 2, the square root of 32x raised to 4 over the square root of 2x squared. So, i-rewrite natin siya as the square root of 32x raised to 4 over 2x squared. So, 32 over 2 is equal to 16. Tapos, x raised to 4 over x squared is equal to x squared. So, kunin natin yung square root ng 16x squared. Our final answer would be 4x. Number 3, the square root of 75y raised to 4 over the square root of 3y raised to 4. So, i-rewrite natin siya as the square root of 75y raised to 4 over 3y raised to 4. So, 75 divided by 3 is 25. Tapos, y raised to 4 over y raised to 4 is equal to 1. Kaya, the square root of 25 is equal to 5. This is our final answer. So, paano naman kapag ganito yung ating example? 2 over the square root of 3. So, we can rewrite this as 2 over the square root of 3 times 1. Then, isusulat natin siya as 2 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 over square root of 3. So, di ba? Square root of 3 over square root of 3 is equal to 1 lang din naman. So, saan nanggaling naman yung square root of 3? Saan natin siya kinuha? Kinuha natin siya from our denominator. So, kapag ka nag-multiply tayo ng square root of 3 sa ating numerator, dapat mag-multiply din tayo ng square root of 3 sa ating denominator. So, let's simplify. So, 2 times square root of 3. So, 2 times 2 square root of 3. So, denominator naman, square root of 3 times square root of 3. Yan, square root of 3 times square root of 3. Then, simplify natin ito. 2 square root of 3 over square root of 9. Kasi square root of 3 times square root of 3 is equal to square root of 9. So, pwede pa natin kunin yung square root ng 9. So, our final answer would be 2 square root of 3 over 3. Number 2, square root of 3 over square root of 2. Rewrite natin siya as a square root of 3 over square root of 2 times 1. Then, isulat naman natin siya ng ganito. Square root of 3 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 over square root of 2. So, di ba, square root of 2 over square root of 2 is equal to 1. And saan naman nanggaling yung square root of 2? Sa denominator. And again, huwag mong kakalimutan, baka mamaya nag-multiply kayo ng square root of 2 sa numerator, tapos hindi sa denominator. Dapat kapag nag-multiply tayo ng square root of 2 sa numerator, ganun din sa denominator. So, isimplify natin siya. Square root of 3 times 2, then square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Multiply na natin. Square root of 3 times square root of 2 is equal to square root of 6. Over the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is equal to square root of 4. I-simplify natin, that would be square root of 6 over 2. So, bakit siya 2? Because the square root of 4 is 2. Again, our final answer is square root of 6 over 2.